Hi, today's video is going to be a bit different. As you know, I was in China for a few months and I want to share with you my unpleasant experience in this one Chinese school. Some of you have been asking why my video uploads have been decreasing. Well, I'm about to tell you why. Now, full disclosure, I think China is a beautiful country and I enjoy it there. My bad experience is only within this particular school. To avoid legal kerfuffle, I will not disclose the name of the school nor the people there. I just want my experience to be a cautionary tale, especially to people planning to learn Mandarin directly in China. And also, I'm still quite bitter about that school. And it goes without saying that my experience doesn't reflect China and its people, nor does it reflect every single school in China. I also noticed that some of you are Chinese, so maybe you can share your perspective as well to my story in the comment section. I've shared this story with a friend who's been studying in China for around 10 years, and they said the school is weird, And again, this is coming from my personal experience. Okay, lots of disclaimer there. Oh, and the drawing has nothing to do with what I'm about to share. I just wanted to draw some Alhaita muscles. I'll play some smooth jazz to lighten up the mood. Oh yeah, that's it. So I went to China around late February. I went there to learn the language for business purposes. Before going to China, I did look for universities or institutions that offer non-degree language programs. But because I've never been to China before, I didn't know which university is best suited for my needs. By the way, I'm Chinese by ethnicity. So Indonesia has a lot of ethnicities like Sundanese, Javanese, Balinese, and many more, and one of them is Chinese. So my nationality is Indonesian, but my ethnicity is Chinese, or as Indonesian calls it, I'm a Cindo. So I have a distant uncle, let's just call him Uncle A, who is quite active in Chinese Indonesian community in his city and has good relations with some schools in China. And he recommended this school, which is located in the southern part of China. I had some doubts about this place because Uncle A keeps mentioning the word 学校 or school instead of 大学 or university. My immediate question was like, is this place a high school? Because in China, you don't call a university a school. The same thing applies in Indonesia. The term school is used to refer to primary school to high school, unlike in the US where you can refer to universities as school. Anyway, Uncle A says, no, it's a vocational school. Well, there's also a high school in the same building, but it's a huge place. You won't bump into any high schoolers. Afterwards, I called some friends who have studied in China for a few years and asked them about this particular school because I kid you not, I cannot find any information about this school anywhere. I even look it up on Baidu, which is like China's search engine, but I still can't find anything useful about this school. So I asked my friends about this school and none of them have ever heard of this school. I even asked my acquaintance who went to a university in the same city as this school, but they never even heard of it. So yeah, that should have been a huge red flag. But because Uncle A already enrolled me in that school, and I haven't paid anything by the way, I was like, it would be unethical to cancel even though I haven't sent any money to the school. So long story short, I went to China and attended that school. I arrived at around 7:30 in the evening and I was immediately brought to the overseas students' dormitory. So from my understanding, schools in China don't allow the students to live outside the school environment. So they have to live in the school dormitory. Universities also have dorms, but they still allow students to have their own place. And let me show you the outside of the school dormitory building. So yeah, this is the dormitory building. I took this picture in the morning, but when I first arrived, it was like dark, so it was more terrifying. And guess what? As the weather gets warmer, the place was infested with cockroaches. Because yeah, what cockroach doesn't like a warm, humid place that smells like a septic tank? You wanna know the state of my room? So if you wanna dry your clothes, you have to hang them on the balcony, which is no problem for me. The problem was my room has the only access to the balcony. So every time my roommates want to hang their clothes, they have to walk through my room. There are times when I'm about to go to sleep, but I have to get up from the bed and open the door for my roommates so they can dry their clothes. And the bed's a bunk bed, by the way. Thankfully, my roommates were respectful people, and this doesn't happen very often. Here's another problem. Essentially, my room has two doors, one to the balcony and the others to enter my room. Both of them are broken. The door to my room cannot fully close and can't be locked from the outside. There are times where people that I don't welcome just barge into my room. The balcony door also cannot be closed. Actually, it can be closed if you put force into it, but once you close it, you cannot open it. Every night, I don't know why, but the male high schoolers are being very, very loud. And I had the pleasure of hearing them scream bloody murder thanks to the barely functioning balcony door. Thankfully, I met wonderful Indonesian friends who are also attending the school to learn Chinese language. FYI, they also hate it there. They told me about the school schedule, which Uncle A never provided to me no matter how many times I asked. So let me break it down to you. 7:30 a.m. is a morning read. So basically, you read a textbook in the morning. 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. are lessons. There are 10-minute break in between the lessons. 12 to 2:50 p.m. is a lunch break. Students and teachers are also take a nap during this break. 2:50 to 4:20 p.m. lessons. 7:50 p.m. to 9:20 p.m. It's not lessons, but it's a self-study sessions where you do homework, review lessons, etc. Students come into class and do homework for maybe 15 minutes, then play with their phones for the rest of the session. Oh, and students can only go outside of the school from 5 to 7:30 p.m. So yeah, that's just amazing. We are also required to turn off all lights at 10:30 p.m. Anyway, before I attend the actual lessons, I was required to do a placement test to determine which class is suitable for my Mandarin level. There are 5 classes. Let's just call them class 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Class 1 is the highest level, and class 5 is the lowest one. Additionally, class 3, 4, and 5 are for overseas high school students. So they still learn language, but with high school curriculum, and have additional lessons like English and math. Class 1 and 2 are for adults. So aside from me, there's another Indonesian student who also takes the placement test because we arrived at the same time. And their Mandarin level is far above mine. So logically, they would be placed in a higher class than me, right? We ended up in the same class, class 4. I don't know why, because listen, this person has HSK3 certification, which is a Chinese proficiency test certification. I couldn't even say ni hao with correct tones, and somehow we got placed in the same class? Like, what's the placement test for then? And even weirder, we're both adults in our 20s, but we were placed in class 4, which is for high schoolers. I even got English and math lessons, which, like, I didn't go there to learn English and math. In the end, we both moved to different classes. This Indonesian student, they moved to class 1, while I moved to class 2. They don't have English and math lessons, but instead we have PE and also music. I don't know why either. Speaking of PE, the PE teacher is kinda gives me the ick. I'll tell you more in a little while. There was this encounter that makes me so angry thinking about it. So I was at the teacher's office, and at that point I could already understand what the teachers are saying. Sitting there was an Indian father with a translator. The translator was telling the teacher that the Indian father sent his children to this school to learn Mandarin, but only to find that none of the teachers can speak English, so the children couldn't understand a single lesson. And that's understandable, right? But do you know what this teacher, this supposedly educated individual, responds to the translator? She said, "Yeah, but we're teaching Mandarin here, not English." What? That is the most idiotic, ignorant, moronic answer coming from a teacher. And she said it very nonchalantly too. Like, she doesn't even care if these children could understand the lessons or not. And the translator was really taken aback by the answer. And she emphasized once more to the teacher, like, yes, we know you teach Mandarin here, but the children are all Indian and they don't understand any Mandarin. Can you at least have a teacher teaching Mandarin but in English? And to be fair, the school is an overseas school. I'm not just saying this. They claim to be a school for overseas students. So is it wrong for people to assume that your teachers can at least speak basic English? I don't know how the matter was resolved or if it's even resolved in any way, but I wish for the best for that Indian father and his children. I really wish they can find a much better school than this one. Do you know the real dangerous result of putting the adults and the high schoolers in the same environment? I'm pretty sure everyone can already guess this. So one time, my homeroom teacher told me that there is this couple, male and female. The male is 25 years old and the female is in high school. Okay, I actually don't know the exact age of this girl. She could have been 18 at the time. But yes, she was in high school by the time I was there. During one holiday, they both went out and did not return to the dorms all night, which to whoever with brains is very concerning. And can you guess what did the school do? They gave each of them a warning letter. Warning letter. I'm sorry, but that's like a nothing burger. I don't think the school even notified the girl's parents because in the end, she's still going out with that 25-year-old. I mean, what sane parents would sit around knowing their daughter is going out with an unknown adult and didn't return all night? Also, why didn't the school kick the 25-year-old out of the school or deport him? Do they not find this matter serious or something? Look, I'm not familiar with Chinese law for having relations with minors, so maybe it's not taken too seriously there. And again, the girl could have been 18. So this is just a rumor, so take it with a grain of salt. But apparently, the guy's parents are very wealthy and the school loves it. I think that rumor is true because this is not the first time the school, how to phrase it, protecting a serious offense. When I first arrived, I was in the same class with this person. Let's just call them Swiper. And then I noticed Swiper stopped attending the classes. Few weeks later, Swiper was back in the class wearing a black hoodie that's always covering their head and also a face mask. At first I thought they were just sick. But then my roommates told me that Swiper was originally expelled from the school because they were stealing stuff from the other students. First it was makeup and small things, and then it escalated to money. However, the school let them back in because Swiper's parents are crazy rich. This is all alleged, by the way. If their parents are rich, why did Swiper steal stuff? Kleptomaniac. That's the only reason I can think of. And you know what infuriates me? Remember when I told you the school doesn't allow students to live outside the school, but their own dorm is in a bad condition? So the school forbid Swiper to live in the school dormitory and told them to live in a nearby apartment. So there's this apartment building very close to the school, and the building looks well kept. I mean, it's a complete 180 from the school dorms. This doesn't feel like a punishment. It's like a reward. Swipers still enrolled in that school, and they can live in a nice apartment building instead of a cockroach-infested one. To this day, Swipers still attending classes. They're always wearing a black hoodie over their head, even in the hot summer weather. I think they're embarrassed. Basically, the whole school knows they're a thief. How about the education? How about the lessons? Is it good at least? Their whole focus is on writing essays. I'm not saying essays are not important, but be real with me. If you come to China to learn Mandarin, of course you want to learn how to speak the language, right? There were 9 other people in my class, and they have arrived 1 semester earlier than me. they can't speak the language. I mean, some of them can, but not as fluently as you'd expect from someone who's been learning for one semester earlier. The most fluent person in my class is my Indonesian roommate, but that's because she's learning by herself and has the courage to talk to the locals. The textbooks are outdated. They're from 2008 or something, which is, my god, 16 years ago. The teachers are literally speedrunning the lessons. And so, me and my two Indonesian roommates, we couldn't take it anymore and we decided to leave the school early. We handed in our notice and booked our flights. But the story doesn't end there, my friend. Oh no. One day, the three of us are at a mall, which is quite far from the school. It was a Sunday. And oh yeah, I forgot to mention that we have night classes on Sundays. Yeah, great. So we decided to just ditch the night class. We were sitting in a cafe when suddenly our homeroom teacher, let's call her Mrs. Jane. Mrs. Jane called my roommate and asked where we were. And suddenly she went off on us. She was saying things like, I know you don't like the school, so just reschedule your flight tickets and go back to your country tomorrow. The three of us just sit there like, the fuck just happened? We ditched one night class and our homeroom teacher is kicking us out of China? That's not even an overreaction. That's just bad crap crazy. So the next day, Mrs. Jane told us to go to the principal's office, but the principal wasn't available, so we had to talk to the vice principal, who is also the PE teacher that gives me the ick. Let's just call him Mr. John. He's a PE teacher, but he never teaches us anything. Like every PE class, all he did was sitting around and smoking. Yes, that's right. The vice principal is smoking in the school grounds. Also, he really likes to chat with this one girl from class 1. And his whole demeanor around this girl is just, I don't know, kind of creepy. I mean, thankfully the girl is not a minor, but still, his whole demeanor just makes me uncomfortable. Anyway, the students have to pay insurance money when they first arrive at the school, and this money will be returned when they go back to their home country. When me and my roommates sat down in the teacher's office facing Mr. John, he suddenly said, "Hey, so we will give the three of you your insurance money back earlier than your leaving date, so you guys have to go back to your home country immediately. I don't care if you have to reschedule your flights, and I don't care where you guys live, but you can't live in the school." Where did this come from? So obviously we asked what brought this up, and Mr. John said, "Oh, your homeroom teacher says you three never attend classes, so you have to go." We're like, never attend classes? One time we did a class, and it wasn't even a class. It's a self-study session. And so we try to clear things up with Mr. John, but because our Mandarin is not fluent, we talk slowly. But every time we tried to clarify, Mr. John would just interrupt and talk over us. And he speaks very, very quickly. I was so frustrated that he keeps interrupting me that I dropped the F-bomb. I'm not proud of it, but Mr. John didn't seem to understand what I was saying. I mean, I know his English is shit and he has no teaching credibility, but seriously, you don't know what fuck means? Anyway, me and my roommates told Mr. John, "Okay, sir, you keep interrupting us. If you don't want to listen to what we have to say, well, we're sorry, we don't want to listen to you." And you know what his response is? He said, "Oh, then I will call the police on you and cut your visa right here, right now." Yeah, sure, Mr. John. The police do have a lot of spare time that they'll give a rat's ass about students ditching the self-study sessions. And also, great work on calling the police on us instead of the thief. Eventually, the meeting ended with Mr. John telling us to go back to class, and he said, "I don't care if you understand the lessons or not, you have to attend all the classes no matter what." So yeah, what a nice, admirable quality in a teacher slash vice principal. God. Thankfully, I'm back home. I'm in beautiful Indonesia again. So what's the moral of the story? Don't trust anyone. Just kidding. But seriously, if you're looking for schools, especially schools overseas, really do your research. If you can't find any reliable information on that school, maybe don't go there. There are a lot of other schools, better schools, believe me. If you're an adult planning to learn Mandarin in China, make sure the place has 大学 or university in it. Schedule a visit if you can. If you notice even a single red flag, reconsider your choice. I'm lucky I can get out of there early. Some of my friends are stuck in that school like for a year. Anyway, let me know what you think, if you agree or disagree with what I said, or if you know anything about Chinese high school or Chinese schools in general, and if all of this is normal and I just overreact, let me know in the comments. And yeah, that's about it. Bye.